Like, I'm like, if I ever die, I want the kids to have a non-black dad. Just a black guy. Oh. To see my kids calling a black man dad would be fucking crazy. It's like, hey, Dad, let's go play catch with the black guy. And the black dad's like, all right, son, come on out here. Oh, even if he was a good man, it would drive me crazy. A lot of hardcore Mexicans feel the same. Oh, yeah, everybody feels that. Blacks feel that.
I actually am 1.4% Nigerian African. I'm a sister, okay?
Umbrella. She's up. Whole nother level of shit you can't even understand.
What is good, my people? We are live, back again with another episode of The Forecast. Now, I don't know why we have to have the same conversation over and over. I don't know why it's not getting through our heads that we are at war. And it's probably the lack of self-love. But we give everybody passes but our own. We make excuses for other people when they come in and violate our community. But do you think those other communities give you a pass on anything? Most of the time they make up the stuff. But all it takes is one time for somebody who looks like you to violate you or disrespect you or cross your boundaries, and you're ready for all-out war. But when somebody else does it, you are willing to give them pass after pass after pass. And then we let other groups, like white women, play both sides of the fence as if they don't benefit just as much or more than anybody else. As if white women didn't play just as big of a part in this system. But we make excuses for them. We let them ride both sides of the fence. They can call themselves a minority, even though they're the largest voting bloc. They complain about affirmative action, but they benefit the most from it. And especially black men, but women too. Black people in general, let them slide with so much stuff. But they are the ones who birth the people who enforce this system. People say mothers are the first teachers of their children. So who do you think is teaching your enemy? Where do you think they get that mindset from? And especially as black men, you can't let your lust override your discipline in a time of war. And especially the older generation, they have to teach the younger generation that. Because they can play a role in destroying you completely from your language, your religion, your traditions, your memories, your families, your heritage, your history. But just because you're full of lust, everything is forgiven. We have really got to realize who we are dealing with. Ida B. Wells broke down the lynch law over 130 years ago. And even though they call her a feminist, she was the first one calling out white women, exposing their lies and how they were using it as a form of economic warfare. And we see countless examples. Everybody knows Black Wall Street. It started because a white woman said a black man touched her in the elevator. We know about Rosewood. It started because a white woman cheated on her husband and said she was raped by a black man. And we can name countless examples until the end of time. And the bottom line is we should still be mad about Emmett Till because that white woman said she lied and still never went to jail, right? They tried to say because she was too old, but we know the real reason. While you're in a state of war, you have to go the extra mile to put your own first, to rebuild black families that has been systematically attacked. And before you approach a white woman, we should be having the image of Emmett Till in our heads. But still today, if that white woman is in trouble, black people in general will be quick to grab that cape and tie it on tight and go save them. But do you think they would do the same for you? In Oregon, a young 22-year-old brother named Barry Washington was shot and killed by this white boy named Ian Cranston. All because he complimented and tried to holler at a white woman. Now, let's go back and see exactly what happened.
Say hello. Say hello. Get the away from touch me. Get the
Hey, call the police! Hey, call the police!
Okay, you hear a shot, and that's all you need. Get low.
Hold on.
Hit me. The guy on the ground.
Hit you in the face.
Yeah, he pushed me back and then hit my boyfriend.
This man here is Ian Cranston. This woman here is Allie Butler. They live in Central Oregon, and currently they are hiding. I believe they live in Redmond, Oregon. On September 19th, Ian Cranston shot and killed a black man in my community at a bar for supposedly complimenting his white partner. If that rings to you of Emmett Till, that's because it's happening again here in 2021. The man that he shot and murdered, his name was Barry Washington. He was an innocent black man that was just downtown drinking with his friends. There's a video that was released to the news by the killer's partner, Allie Butler here. She filmed a video after he was shot and murdered of her laughing at his body. They had called him racial slurs. Everybody stood around, turned the music back up, and they were just laughing, having a good old time. Only one person in the video said somebody should call the police. Nobody moved, nobody ran. There was no screaming for help, nothing. They shot and killed a black man in public, like a public lynching for supposedly complimenting his white partner. And he was let out on bail with a manslaughter charge. She was not arrested at all. Again, his name is Ian Cranston. This is Allie Butler. And they murdered Barry Washington Jr. in public, and they were let go because they are white. If you care about Black lives, if you care about getting justice for Black lives, I need you to share the hell out of this video and look up this case. It's taking place in Central Oregon. His name was Barry Washington. He was murdered by Ian Cranston and Allie Butler, who are both out and free living their lives. I need y'all to follow this case, share this video. October 5th, there's going to be new evidence presented to a grand jury at the Deschutes County Courthouse. If any of you can make it there to show support for Barry's family, that would be amazing. Our community is just ripped to shreds right now and shaken. I can't imagine how his family feels knowing that the two white people that murdered him and are filmed calling him racial slurs before killing him and are filmed laughing at him afterwards and are walking free right now. It's just like, my mind is boggled. I need y'all to share the hell out of this. Follow our efforts. Look up the Barry Washington case, please. Follow this. Ian Cranston and Allie Butler are pieces of trash. Two white racists who murdered a black man because they felt they had the right to, and then sent the video of them murdering him to the news to vindicate themselves. They really felt like they had the right to murder him because he allegedly complimented this white woman. Please follow this case, y'all. Blow this video up. Black Lives Matter, justice for Barry Washington.
Now, y'all know me. I'm not the one to talk about looks. But do you think this white girl, Allie Butler, is worth losing your life over? Because for me, and I'm just talking for me, I wouldn't even get into a fight over her. But it started after this brother, Barry Washington, went out with some of his friends. And I don't know why or what he saw, but when he ran into that white girl, Allie Butler, he complimented her and basically tried to holler at her. And this brother was completely respectful when he approached her. But she wasn't one of the ones that's a brother lover, so she rejected him. And according to reports, she rejected him politely. So they went their separate ways, and Barry went with his friends to do whatever they did. But as they were leaving, he came across her again. Now, I don't know who said what to who, but my guess is this white girl, Allie Butler, told the white boy, Ian Cranston, that he had approached her earlier. And he was probably butthurt about it. And it led to an altercation between Barry and the people he was with and the people the white girl was with. Now, the investigator said the fight was over, but this white boy had a gun on the low, and his brother Barry didn't know. And of course, when it's physical and it's just a straight up fair fight, this white boy got beat up, and he was probably embarrassed about it. So this white boy kept taunting him escalating the situation. He probably called them nigga. And then during that part, that's when the white girl, Allie Butler, started recording. And you can hear this white boy call him a D-licker. And then the next thing you hear was a gunshot. And this white boy ended up shooting and killing his brother, Barry Washington.
Family and friends of the 22-year-old man killed in downtown Bend over the weekend are honoring their loved one tonight. Max Goldwasser spoke with them earlier today at the scene of the shooting.
The fact that it happened up here is devastating. Yeah.
His dying here in the state of Oregon will not be in vain.
The wound still fresh for the friends and family of Barry Washington Jr., or BJ, as some like to call him. Visibly emotional as they place balloons, pictures, and candles in the exact area police say the 22-year-old was shot early Sunday morning in downtown Bend. Most of them flying in from the Bay Area, where Washington had moved from to Bend just a month and a half ago.
Barry was just a big teddy bear. He's a protector. Of everyone, just fun-loving, was trying to get away from drama, and follow up with his music career.
Deschutes County District Attorney John Hummel says Washington's death was the result of an altercation starting Saturday night. Hummel says Washington was out with some friends at the Capitol and approached a woman to compliment her. According to Hummel, the woman said she was flattered, but in a relationship. Then around midnight, Washington approached the woman once again outside the bar on the corner of Wall Street and Oregon Avenue in downtown Bend. He complimented her again in a very respectable manner, Hummel said, but the woman's boyfriend, 27-year-old Ian Cranston, was, quote, not happy.
He said some words to Mr. Washington. Mr. Washington said words back. There was some pushing, some jostling, some punches thrown, but then it calmed down. It was not going to get out of hand. Then Mr. Cranston pulled a gun out of his waistband and killed Mr. Washington.
Washington was taken to St. Charles, where he later died. Meanwhile, Cranston has been charged with second-degree manslaughter, but Hummel called this a homicide without justification and did not rule out the possibility of that charge being upgraded.
Me and my deputies will be asking the grand jury to return an indictment charging Mr. Cranston. We're still deciding what level of crime we're going to be asking for, whether we'll be asking for murder or some other degree of homicide.
Friends and family making it clear what they're asking for.
And we just want justice the right way, like the rest of the world would if their loved one was killed in cold blood just like this.
Cranston was released from jail after posting bail Sunday morning. He now awaits his court date scheduled for October 5th.
Now, this white boy, Ian Cranston, was arrested, but initially he was only charged with second-degree manslaughter for murder. And he was able to post bail and get out within 24 hours. But when people heard about it and they started protesting and marching, they decided to recharge this white boy with 6 counts, including second-degree murder.
Details continue to come in regarding a shooting that ended a young man's life over the weekend in downtown Bend. Max Goldwasser has been following the story all day. He joins us live from the scene of the shooting. Max, what's the latest?
Well, Lee, as you can see, friends and family are still here mourning the loss of 22-year-old Barry Washington Jr. They've been putting together this memorial all afternoon with a picture of Barry himself and candles on the ground that say R.I.P. And this is where police say Barry was shot and killed here on the corner of Northwest Wall Street and Oregon Avenue in downtown Bend. Now, as for how we got to this point, I did speak with Deschutes County District Attorney John Hummel earlier today. He tells me there was an altercation that started late Saturday night inside the Capitol. He says Washington Jr. walked up to a female inside the bar, tried to compliment her. She said thanks, but she was in a relationship with another man inside the bar, and that would be 27-year-old Ian Cranston. Now, at that point, things did not escalate. In fact, nothing else happened until later in the night when Cranston and Washington and the group of friends they were both with got into an argument outside the Capitol on the street corner here, and without warning, Cranston took out his gun and shot Washington, who was taken to St. Charles, where he later died. Now, of course, as you saw earlier, fewer than 48 hours later, Washington's friends and family traveled all the way here from the Bay Area to be here to honor their loved one. And that's where Washington moved from to Bend less than a month and a half ago to, as I'm told, start a new life.
We're here. He didn't just die here. He's going to be reborn here as well, because they will remember who Barry Washington Jr. is, who he is. And they're going to remember the coward that murdered him. in cold blood as well.
Cranston was charged with second-degree manslaughter. His initial bail was set at $100,000. He was released on bail yesterday afternoon, and I did speak with John Hummel, and he called this a homicide with no justification. Cranston's first court appearance will be October 5th.
Me and my deputies will be asking the grand jury to return an indictment charging Mr. Cranston. We're still deciding what level of crime we're going to be asking for, whether we'll be asking for murder or some other degree of homicide.
The only solution is to just make something more permanent.
Luke Richter, president of the Central Oregon Peacekeepers, says last week he found a poster filled with heartfelt handwritten messages at the Barry Washington Jr. Memorial in downtown Bend, ripped in half.
Some people just have immediately made it political, and they don't like that.
On September 30th, Ian Cranston was arraigned on second-degree murder charges in the shooting death of Barry Washington Jr. There is no charge of a bias crime, though an investigation is still ongoing.
It feels like the second something BIPOC gets put up, it gets messed with.
Richter says he has spoken with Barry's mother, who would like a plaque and permanent memorial, as well as renaming the intersection of Wall Street and Oregon Avenue Barry's Corner. I spoke with Bend Mayor Sally Russell on the phone, who says the city is still exploring the idea of a more permanent memorial and has not had any definitive discussions. The city says there's no formal process to establish a permanent memorial downtown. Any consideration would need to account for right-of-way codes and permits. Richter says Deshaun dealt with bullying and racial harassment and wants his name acknowledged.
Whatever his family's comfortable with, just something that's gonna just let people know that he existed.
But he says above all, he wants a permanent reminder of what happened to Barry Washington Jr.
This is a situation that we've all been told it doesn't happen in Bend, and it happened in Bend, and now we need to make sure that it doesn't happen in Bend again.
I'm back here live downtown, and I'm told that there's actually 2 photos of Barry Washington that were above this poster that have since disappeared. It's unclear whether they just fell off in the wind or if someone took them down, but I'm told that's the exact reason why the community wants a permanent memorial here.
Now look, even though technically you can, I'll say this brother had no business speaking to this white woman. And this is a lesson for a lot of us brothers and sisters, all of us. Especially as black men, we have to stop pretending or acting like we don't know who white women are and what they do and the history that they have. We keep turning a blind eye to all of that. And that don't mean this brother deserved to be killed. We all know that. But we can't act like white women historically haven't been responsible for countless men, women, and children being killed. So many people have been murdered just from the word of a white woman, let alone white woman tears. But we do have to start looking at our response to these situations. This brother was essentially murdered for trying to holler at a white woman, and all we're doing is lighting candles and back to saying no justice, no peace. But we don't have any history to go off to talk about justice, especially when it comes to white women. Because in this country especially, until the sentencing gap between white women and black men is closed, then we don't have nothing to talk about. But you don't see all of these white women organizations, even though they come for everybody else, you don't see them saying nothing about that. Because it's not about right and wrong. One of the biggest indicators of the present and the future is the past. But if you keep not learning from the past, then you'll keep making the same mistakes. And even if you're not, don't you ever think your enemy is not strapped. They're not going to try you unless they have an advantage in some kind of way. Even the police need 10 people for one person, and they have to have guns. And they're still scared. So don't think that they're trying you and they may not have something on them. So learn how to protect yourself. Because in more cases than not, we see what happens when it's a fair one-on-one fight. But for them, it's not about right and wrong. It's not about having morals. It's about having domination and control, having power, and most of all, keeping you, especially black men, away from their quote-unquote precious white women. We need to be too focused on ourselves and rebuilding our community to try to assimilate into other communities. Because at the end of the day, we are all we got. And if we keep giving pass after pass to everybody but ourselves, How can we expect different results?
I had a woman dying from COVID confess something really heart-wrenching to me. She told me that when she was a teenager, she told her mother that one of the local black boys had touched her behind the grocery store. And in 1936 Louisiana, this was a very big deal. Not only was this boy lynched, but he was beaten, and his genitals were cut off. And then the family home was burned to the ground. And she watched it all happen. You want to know why? Because she saw that his sisters had prettier dresses than she did, and she just didn't like it. So she lied. And then it clicked. This same woman had been hallucinating for the past couple of days, saying that there was a black boy in her room watching her, would not stop staring at her, and she was scared shitless. She asked if she could be forgiven. I told her the only person who could forgive her was the boy she killed. Not sorry.
You're involved too because of what you did. However, I have no idea who called the police.
I did.
Okay.
Felicia, let me stop you right there.
No.
Let me stop you
finish.
right there.
Let me finish and then you can speak.
Sure, go ahead.
Thank you. First of all, you call the police on my son, 8-year-old son, for riding his toy dirt bike in this neighborhood. Is that not true?
I called because it is illegal for a dirt bike to be on the street no matter who is riding
Deanna?
it and how old they are.
Deanna,
period.
that is a toy dirt bike.
It is illegal.
That is that
illegal.
is a toy. If it is illegal and you as a neighbor, why would you call the police on an 8-year-old?
Your husband is a police officer.
Exactly.
Should know the law.
Why would you
know
call
the HOA rules.
Why would you call the police on an 8-year-old boy instead of doing what you just did right here, coming down here and with the police and talking to me as a parent? What responsibility does Jaden have as an 8-year-old kid in the street for a police officer to pull up to him on the street because you feel that he at 8 is doing something illegal?
I think
What do you feel?
I think you, as a parent, are allowing your 8-year-old child to be on the street in an illegal bike.
Excuse me, wait a second.
Yes,
Hello.
yes.
So, hi. Talk to you?
Wait.
Okay, I'm Kiara. I'm her daughter.
Hi, Kiara. Yeah.
Okay, so I want to explain something to you because you watch the news lately. Do you know what happens to a little boy when they see police come up to them? A little black boy at that, and you guys described him as a black person.
We did
you
not.
described him as a black person.
That's what came on the report.
That's what came on the report. We saw the report. That's how we know you guys called.
Then we did not use those words.
That's what they said on the report.
Regardless, if you felt that my 8-year-old child is doing something that involves police officers, that's illegal. That's illegal. Not only something that he's been doing around here for more than 3 years.
I know.
And he's been riding with the president. Alicia. He's been riding with the president of the HOA son and daughter.
And it's wrong.
The white kids, but you had no problem. You did not call the police on them. Why didn't you call the police on the white kids across the way?
So let me tell you why. Because down in our cul-de-sac, we have a bunch of small children who play.
Were they outside? It's a toy bike. It's not a big old bike.
Is it illegal? Is it illegal, Deanna, for the same kids, the same white kids, to ride on a lawnmower up and down the street?
And let me tell you.
Do they not do that, Deanna?
It's illegal.
Did you call the police, Deanna?
The only people I saw on a tractor.
I know you see that. You live right across the street. There's no way you didn't see them pull on a dang lawnmower.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie. That's a lie.
Let me.
Wait.
No.
You cannot tell me that I saw something that I did not see.
tell you saw anything.
But yes, I agree. John acknowledged that he rides his kids on the bike.
That's not my point. That's not my point. My point is,
this is what you all let it come to.
My
she
point
asked
is,
for a conversation. A meeting.
And
now we're having a meeting with This is what it
denied
it. Deanna.
I didn't deny it.
Deanna.
Let's talk. Hold up.
Deanna, be quiet.
No, I'm not going to stand here and be yelled and screamed at in my neighborhood. And your neighborhood. It's your neighborhood. It's all we are waiting for you. We belong here. It's fine. My house is on the market. I'm out. But let me tell you something. If those people show up again and try to intimidate me.
What people? You don't know the people.
Again, they are accusing me
of doing
Hey,
something
don't
that
mean
you
they know.
know.
Yeah, I heard. You heard.
Okay.
Don't mean they know.
So what about the incident 2 weeks ago?
Ain't got nothing to do. We talking about the issue with the kids. That's a result after that.
I went to Party City, and this happened.
We good. You okay?
No, she not gonna do nothing. You need to get your fucking bitch ass out of the store. What you need to do? You do something. Go ahead. Do something about it. Y'all both got that eye. This one right here. Don't worry about what we look like, bitch. Yeah, for real. Let this bitch bet all this and get the fuck out of here. Don't slouch you, man. You got a job? I look great, bitch. I just told you. Looks like you need a job. Them dirty ass clothes. Dirty ass clothes. Bitch, my clothes ain't dirty. Don't even say nothing. Comb your hair. How you white and your hair fucked up? Comb your hair, bitch. Uh-oh. Bitch, my hair is combed. No, bitch, my hair is combed. Have you seen ain't nobody wearing that showing me, bitch. With that get your black ass on. My what? Your black ass. What's your white ass? Your black ass. Your white ass. Ma'am, don't worry about it. You see that? Yeah. Racial slur first. Don't do that. Racial slur. They love to do that. They can't do shit. Oh, you don't know me. You don't know me. You don't know me. She but I got my kids with me. So I'm trying to act in front of my grandkids. Y'all love to throw the racial slurs. Y'all love to throw the racial slurs. Now you started the racial slurs. You started the racial slurs. No, she did.
Then she says police will be on your side, won't they? Hell.
Your side anyway, won't they?
Your bitch ass up.
The police will be on your side anyway, won't they?
Talking racial.
We don't talk unless you throw hands and leave. Unless you're ready to throw hands and leave.
Don't do that. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. You talking too much. Let's go. Let's go. Get in here. I got witnesses. Come on. Get on, baby. You ain't calling nobody. I can see your phone, dummy.
No, I'm gonna call somebody right now. Mom, go over there. Bitch, don't call me no dummy. I got your fucking dummy.
You're dumb. You're dumb.
3921.
Get my order ready.
She was being loud from the get-go.
It don't matter. You still talking.
3921.
But you see how they say come outside and don't want to come outside?
I know.
I'm waiting on you. Okay.
I know.
Bring your ass up. Bring your ass up. Have my order ready. Bitch, bring your ass up. You old ass bitch. Rich ass hoe. You hoes always want to talk that racial shit. You don't want to bring y'all ass outside and get beat up. That's what y'all problem is. You always want to talk that racial shit, but don't want to bring your ass outside and get beat up. Lame ass, bald head bitches. Weak ass. Nah, fuck you, bitch. Oh, I'm gonna wait for these.
Yes, all three.
A South Florida mother outraged, saying her son is getting a hateful lesson at school, and she has it on video. 7's Jeff Lennox has the exclusive racist recording.
These after-school selfies appear harmless, but a video version proving otherwise. As a teen reaches for his phone, another student refuses to give it back, and then this happens. The girl with his phone calling him the N-word.
And she said, look at this. You see the twice.
Shawnerica Leach says it was her son who had those racial slurs hurled at him. It happened at I Matter Middle High Charter School on Tuesday afternoon.
It hurts, it's saddening, it's sick. It's disgusting. It's frustrating, you know?
For this mom, it's concerning to know Jalen, her soft-spoken 14-year-old seen here with his little brother,
I love him,
was treated this way at school.
I think everybody should be like kind to each other because like we're both human beings and like we should all respect each other. It's just like ridiculous because this really needs to stop.
Jalen's parents posted the video onto social media and then went to the school demanding someone take action.
They kept saying that this has never happened before, you know, and it's like, well, your information is wrong.
They say Jalen was called the N-word by another student earlier this year. The offender suspended and forced to apologize. They want the school to teach a lesson about how this behavior is not okay.
How do you deliver the message? You expel them, you have a meeting with all the kids together, you put them all together, and you tell them, listen, this is not acceptable, this is not tolerated.
The Hialeah Charter School responding with a statement that reads in part, "We are outraged by the actions of the individuals in the video, and we stand in solidarity with the victim and his family and pledge our commitment to ensure this does not happen again. We have zero tolerance for racism and bullying." Jalen's parents are still waiting to see if there is action behind those words and say they are not sure their child will return back to this school.
It just hurts my heart because I sent my son to school to get an education and to feel safe and to be safe, and they violated that.
I don't think my son deserves that. I don't think anybody deserves that.
UW-Milwaukee is responding to an extremely offensive video tonight. It shows a student using racial and anti-gay slurs. CBS 58's Winnie Dortch is on campus with their response and new reaction from students.
Students say the video is unacceptable and disturbing. They say they're worried that the situation may get swept under the rug by school administration. It's this video now causing major uproar at the University of Wisconsin-Milwaukee, a student using the N-word repeatedly. She also uses an anti-gay slur. The video was sent to the president of the Black Student Union. Darius Hayes posted it to their Facebook page.
It's just upsetting, especially because, you know, as minorities on this campus, we want everybody to feel welcome.
We were like astonished, like everybody, we could barely even put into words. We're like, what in the world?
You come to school, you want to have as much pride about being on your campus as possible, but then something like this occurs and you see everybody's true colors.
Now the Black Student Union and other school organizations want administrators to take action.
Expulsion would be ideal for us because we want to know that this is not tolerated.
We also just want accountability as well as part on the university officials too.
UW-Milwaukee Chancellor Mark Money released a statement saying the comments and behaviors within the video are deeply offensive, hurtful, and 100% contrary to our guiding values of diversity and mutual respect and safety. UW-Milwaukee vehemently condemns the use of racist and anti-gay slurs. And I'm told the school is investigating this video. The Black Student Union says they're trying to schedule a campus-wide discussion with the dean and the chancellor sometime next week.
Investigating the resignation of a Winterville teacher after what the school calls a racially insensitive lesson and caught the attention of a lot of our viewers. Justin Lundy has been following this story and is live outside of Winterville Charter Academy with the latest. Justin.
Yes, I spoke with parents whose children tell them that a teacher here at Winterville Charter Academy used racial slurs inside an 8th grade classroom. And today, those parents are demanding immediate action and answers.
She had them raise their hand during a Constitution lesson and reminded them that if it wasn't for the Constitution, they would still be her slaves, her field slaves.
Kanisha Tillman and McKay Benjamin say their children were in an 8th grade classroom at Winterville Charter Academy. And late last month, that was the lesson on Constitution Day. Tillman says both the teacher and some white classmates then used the N-word.
And then call him a and then the teacher responded by saying when the black student tried to address it and ask her to address it, she said that, well, it's okay because we're all a little bit racist.
School leaders initially sent out a memo to parents of that classroom on September 24th. It said they investigated the incident and the teacher involved resigned. After outrage began to spread on social media that the teacher wasn't fired, Principal Anastasia Ryan sent out the following memo on October 5th to the whole school, reading in part, "As soon as we were made aware of each incident, we immediately took action. The result was a teacher resignation and the children involved being disciplined in accordance with our parent and student handbook. These situations concern us too. Our school culture is built on one of acceptance, love, and respect to serve all children and their families." Benjamin planned to remove her child from the school, but changed her mind this week. And why aren't you taking your kids out of the school?
Instead of us just removing our kids and letting them get away with it and not actually holding them accountable for what's going on, we should stay at the school and fight and get them to address the situation.
Winterville Charter Academy has not revealed the name of the teacher involved, but parents are demanding new policies to prevent situations like this from occurring again.
I would like for them to have training on cultural fluency, on implicit bias, on racism, and I would like the students to have training. Like, it doesn't make sense why we got a school-wide email about TikTok challenges in the soap dispensers, but we didn't get a school-wide email discouraging more racist remarks coming to the school.
A memo from the school stated that the teacher who resigned will actually receive culturally sensitive training. I'm not really sure how that's going to be worked out because I already reached out to school and they haven't said anything about that. But Future and current teachers will also go through that training as well.
Get this pimp. Get this motherfucking pimp.
Oh, your door fell.
Get out of here, shit. Son of a bitch. What do you want?
Your door fell.
Get out of here. Get out of my street.
Get out of here.
Call the police. This motherfucker is a pimp.
Oh shit. Come here then. Let's start hoeing.
God damn you.
Don't put that by my car. You're gonna get your ass kicked. Hey, bitch.
What did you say?
Man, you better get that up. You better get that shit off my car.
Let go.
You better get that motherfucker away from my car.
You pimp.
I'ma pimp you.
Get out of here.
I'ma pimp your ass. Oh?
I am not wearing your parka, huh?
You
Get out of here.
Shut up.
Get out of your parka, huh? Get back.
Hey.
Son of a bitch. You vehicular homicide, son of a bitch. Get out of here.
You better move that goddamn. Hey, you better get that goddamn door away from my car.
This is my hood.
I ain't got a lease to stay here. I don't have a lease agreement. I don't know, do you? Exactly. You don't fucking know. So mind your fucking business, bitch. Go sit the fuck down.
It's in your lease agreement you can't ride a skateboard.
Well, guess what the fuck I'ma do? I'ma step on this bitch and I'ma ride that motherfucker. Suck my dick.
Get it.
Bitch, that's what you are. But see, you can talk to her crazy, but when you got somebody that's on your level,
You better call security right now.
what's gonna happen?
Get out of my face.
What's gonna happen?
Get out of my face.
Bitch, I came to swing you out. I know you. I know.
Mhm.
I know.
Another
But you better-
Karen.
You better not fuck with her no more, though. You better not fuck with her no more. Because guess what? I came for you. I put my shit down and I came back here for you. She employee of the month. That girl don't bother nobody. Bitch, please. But guess what? I came back here for you. But you know what you didn't do all along. That's what you do. Bitch.
Call security. I want the
Security.
police called right now.
I don't give a fuck who you call. I give you a reason to call the fucking police.
You better call the police.
I give you a reason to call the police, bitch. Come on, man. I know. Now call me by my name. Come on. Because you know my name. Come on, girl, fuck you. And I meant that. I came back to give it to you. Fuck you. Racist bitch. That shit gonna stop. That shit gonna stop. That shit that gonna stop. You racist bitches. Sick of you motherfuckers. Now come with it. Now, I don't give a fuck who you call. You racist bitch.
Ain't nobody did anything to you.
No, you did something to her. That's what you did.
I'm standing here
I
shouting.
know.
Hey. Don't push on my dope. I don't know who the fuck you think you is, but don't push my dope, brother. I'm not the one you think I am, brother. I will take 20 years of the military and beat your ass. You understand me? Now, don't you ever disrespect nobody up in this hotel. You understand me? Because I'm not the motherfucker you think I am. You understand me? Yeah. Don't fucking play with me, boy. Ain't no cameras out this motherfucker. We ain't in the hotel no more.
I'm recording you right
I don't give
now.
a fuck what you do.
Okay? Don't get up.
Now get out my hotel.
I am.
Get out.
I am. Walk away from me.
No, get out. Because you don't have no room here, and you in here disturbing my thing. You cussing at my receptionist.
I did not.
You threatening my receptionist. Get out of here.
I did
Get
not
out.
threaten her. I'm walking away. If you would.
No, you ain't
give me-
walking away. You
if
standing
you
here.
Would give me some
Goodbye.
space,
Goodbye.
dude.
Bye. Goodbye.
What's it been like for you? At first, I didn't really think that I would be able to get into the Kaiser test because so many other kids have tried out for it and only 200 would get in. So I feel really blessed that I've finally been able to get in. And it's been amazing.
Amazing how?
And then, like, they didn't really have to do anything major. And when I got the shot, there was no, like, really big side effects. My arm wasn't swollen. So, and I've heard about some kids that have been getting minor side effects.
Greg, why did you decide to let your son do this?
I think most importantly, it just seems like that this first COVID year is going to be indelibly inked in this whole generation's kind of memories. And it was really kind of historic to kind of be a part of that.
All right, and we back on the forecast. Now, we've seen countless examples of how the enemy responds to us. We see how they try to enforce consequences when we do something that they think is wrong. But we also can look and see how we respond to each other and how quickly we can come for each other, violate each other, and we want to come after somebody who violates us if they look like our own. In fact, in some cases, we look for reasons to violate ourselves. But one of the biggest indicators of where we are mentally is how we respond to them. Now, historically, all we see is images of us putting our heads down, going along to get along. We don't hear about all the stories about how black people defended their towns, their cities, about how they band together to stop attacks on their town. We don't hear about the quote-unquote reverse lynch mob, when the black men who were armed and trained stuck together to protect one of their own. How they would go meet lynch mobs to protect a black person from being lynched. And sometimes they were even successful. But the state of mental conditioning is serious. And when you see nothing but tragedy happen when you stand up for yourself, over time, that is going to stick into your mind that standing up for myself is going to lead to tragedy, unless it's with each other. So when one of us stands up for our rights or don't want to be violated or let somebody cross our boundaries, there are countless of our own people telling them that they shouldn't have did it this way, tell them they shouldn't act this way, right? You have black politicians going on TV telling black children not to make white children feel bad for treating them like trash. They'll excuse their behavior. Like, I know they have a racist past. They've committed so many crimes. But black children making white children feel bad is not the answer. As if that's what they're doing. Because you can't tell me at no point in history have we ever did something to try to make them feel bad, because we've only did things to try to make them feel good. And unfortunately, that includes protecting yourself, self-defense, defending your own community. Because even when we're within the law to do that, that fear kicks in and we'll try to discourage it. Because deep down, we know that technically we cannot be American citizens. And the same laws and rules don't apply to you. But in the universe, you are a human being, and the right for self-preservation applies to you as much as anybody else. In Mississippi, a young 18-year-old brother, Deshaun Douglas, ended up shooting and killing his white neighbor, Christopher Millen, in self-defense after he was attacked on his own property. So let's go back and see what happened.
God, nigga, you throwing mud like a little. If you was somewhere else, I swear to God, I hurt your. Oh God, bro. Oh God, bro, you looking around here, you white people in this. They will call me police. Oh God, if you was somewhere else, I swear to God, bro, you want to be like this, man. Oh God, bro, I swear to God, man. I swear to God, man. What's going on, man? I want to come over here, bro. I swear to God, man. Let's go. I swear to God, man. I ain't no bro. Bring it. They just saying it all. Bring it.
World Star. World Star. World Star.
I really should have hurt you, bro, but I ain't gonna do it. Because you got a leg, man. Yeah, you stand up on the stairs, man. That's nothing you got these niggas for. Where you go?
World Star.
Hey, bro. Hey, bro. Bro. No, he's You're drunk. No, hey, man, help me. You're drunk as fuck. Help me.
They just captured Deshaun Xavier Douglas right here at this Regions Bank parking lot at the corner of Old Fannin and Spillway Road. This was just a few minutes ago after I did my last report at the top of the newscast. Sheriff's deputies screeching out of the parking lot when they had word they had found their suspect. He is accused of shooting a man 4 times in what started as a pushing match, a war of words, and then a fight. Once the fight was broken up, according to one witness, he pulled out his gun, Xavier Douglas did, and started shooting. That suspect now in custody. We have video we'll be able to show you later. The authorities will give us the latest information later tonight on this investigation. But we are told, and here's a look at that video that we were able to capture there of the suspect in the back of that Rankin County Sheriff's Department vehicle. Again, here at Old Fannin and Spillway Road. We're about a quarter mile from where this incident all took place around 3 o'clock earlier today. And again, what started as a simple fight and what had been a long-running feud between the two people, we're told. But it went to gunshots with Deshaun Xavier Douglas accused of shooting a 54-year-old man named Chris 4 times. We're told he is in critical condition at the hospital. That was the last update we got.
Now, first and foremost, we see how they respond when it's one of their own that takes the L. Because we've all seen how it goes when it's the other way around. They'll find a way to justify it, saying it was self-defense, even though he went on his property antagonizing him. But with this brother, they went on the manhunt right away. They locked him up right away. It was no getting out of jail in 24 hours. But, you know, it all started because this brother, Deshaun Douglas, had an ongoing issue with this white boy, Christopher Millen. And this white boy threatened Deshaun on multiple occasions. And even though he threatened him multiple times, this brother tried to handle it the quote-unquote right way and went to the quote-unquote authorities. Because this white boy had already pulled out a shovel and threatened to beat this brother with it. And the police did charge the white boy with assault, but they eventually dropped the charges. All they did was order the white boy to stay away from this brother and stay off of his property. But you already know that arrogance that they have, right? Especially over a quote-unquote Negro. So this white boy kept going over there anyway. And you can hear on the video, somebody said that this white boy was drunk when he started approaching them. So this white boy went over there again against the court order, talking trash, not only threatening Deshaun, but threatening his 13-year-old brother. Somebody was recording, and I don't even know if this white boy know he was being recorded. But you can see this white boy repeatedly running up on this young brother, Deshaun. And this young 18-year-old brother did everything he could to restrain himself. And I saw a comment on one of the videos, you know, saying the brother Deshaun wouldn't have had so much patience if it was another brother. But of course, I can't say that because I don't know this brother. But more often than not, we do have more patience for somebody else than we do for ourselves. But I can't say that that was the case here. But too often it is. But as this brother tried to walk away, you can see this white boy run up on him again and attack him. I don't know if he had turned around or what. And then it turned into a fight, and he had this young brother in some kind of headlock. So in self-defense, this brother got himself out of a headlock and feared for his life, so he pulled a gun and shot this white boy 4 times, killing him. And unlike the case with somebody like Barry Washington, after this happened, the police went on a manhunt. And luckily, this is not 1921 because he probably would have been lynched. But they found his brother and arrested him and then charged him with first-degree murder.
Tuesday morning, Rankin County Sheriff's deputies searched a grassy, wooded area for a weapon used in a deadly shooting on a Brindlewood Lane. Shortly after this confrontation between the two neighbors that was caught on camera, police say 18-year-old Deshaun Douglas pulled out a gun and shot 54-year-old Christopher Milne.
We were detailing cars around the corner, and I heard 2 shots, and I heard 3 other shots.
After the shooting, Milne's wife, Donna, received a call from her neighbor telling her to come home.
When I got here, it had all taken place. They would not let me back into the neighborhood until I told them who I was, and then they escorted me to UMC.
After an hours-long manhunt, Douglas was taken into custody by Rankin County deputies. Ivory Dishman says he had just talked to Douglas right before the shooting.
I just spoke with the young man about coming around there and helping us out, detailing cars. And he seemed in his right mind, like he wasn't angry, upset. And I don't know, it was 10 or 15 minutes later it happened.
Milne's wife said they had just moved into their home in May. According to Rankin County Sheriff Brian Bailey, the new neighbors did not get along.
From the best I can tell right now, this has been an ongoing feud or argument between some neighbors.
The feud had even landed the two families in court.
We had to go to trial, then we went to pre-trial, then we had to, and then it was all dropped.
Dishman says when he saw the news, he was surprised Douglas was involved.
Real nice, respectful. He was very respectful. So, I mean, when I saw the picture last night, I was surprised.
Milne's wife says regardless of the differences between the two men, it did not have to end in gunfire.
I don't know what else to say except that I loved him dearly. They have taken away my whole life.
Now, of course, his wife is going to stay on code, talking about, I don't care what happened, it shouldn't have ended this way, right? Ignore the fact that he got drunk, went on his property, harassing him, threatening him, right? Just skip over that part. It just shouldn't have ended in gunfire, right? I guess the brother should have just took it and put his head down and kept moving. But we can clearly see the difference. This young brother, Deshaun Douglas, was on his own property, being attacked by a drunk dude, and he defended himself, and they charged him with first-degree murder. Even though we can see cases where people shoot at children or they fight over a white woman, and they can find a way to not charge them with first-degree murder, only manslaughter. Give them a bail. Call it self-defense. But even when you're being attacked and put in a headlock and you fear for your life, that don't give you no excuse to defend yourself. But that shows you the value that they have for your life. But somebody else's value for your life don't have to be your own value. But they charged this young brother with first-degree murder, and by law, that means that it was supposed to be premeditated, even though this white boy ran up on him. But of course, this young white boy is going to be the victim. And there's a reason why they undercharge people and overcharge people. Because if you charge somebody with manslaughter, right, the bail is going to be a lot less than when you charge somebody with first-degree murder. And because they charged him, it was harder for him to get bail than somebody like in the Barry Washington case where they got bail within 24 hours. And it took for the people hearing about what happened and putting pressure on the DA and the police and all of that for them to start changing their tune about releasing this brother.
A Rankin County teen accused of killing his neighbor is out of jail. 12 News' Anna Farish joins us now with the new developments. Anna?
Well, Jade, Deshaun Douglas's attorney says there won't be a bond hearing, and this was a case of self-defense against someone who was, quote, violently attacked. But the investigation is far from over. Now, this is cell phone video from December 28th in a neighborhood near the reservoir. A neighbor captured the video of Douglas and 54-year-old Christopher Milne arguing. Deputies say shortly after the video was taken, Douglas shot Milne and he later died. Douglas's attorney says the two have a history, and an attorney filed charges. Milne was ordered to have zero contact with Douglas. In this statement sent to us, his attorney says, quote, every Mississippian has both an inherent and legal right to deadly force and defend themselves from someone who is attempting to cause great personal injury. Deshaun's actions on December 28th were reasonable under the circumstances. Now, the charges of first-degree murder against Douglas has not been dropped, but his attorney says his client is not a danger to the community, and he looks forward to a favorable resolution in the future.
A Rankin County teenager charged with first-degree murder for shooting his neighbor is home with his family tonight. 18-year-old Deshaun Douglas was released on a $75,000 bond amid concern that the murder charge against him was too much. But was it? Chief investigative reporter CJ LeMaster has perspective tonight from a legal expert.
The case that began when 18-year-old Deshaun Douglas shot and killed neighbor Christopher Milne and the first-degree murder charge that followed is something Douglas's attorney disagrees with. He and many others argue it was self-defense, that the ongoing feud between the two men, which resulted in an assault charge and no contact order against Milne, supports that. Then there's the fight itself, which preceded the shooting.
There's no doubt that Deshaun Douglas had the right to use force to defend himself. The only question is whether the use of deadly force under these circumstances was justified. And given our self-defense laws, including our Castle law, that is at least a colorable, if not indeed a strong case of self-defense.
That may still play out at trial, law professor Matt Steffi says, but whether that case goes that far now rests squarely on the shoulders of Rankin County District Attorney Bubba Bramlett. Bramlett has not responded to our requests for comment since Douglas was released.
Right now, the DA's taken a look at it. The accused's lawyer is trying to develop the facts. If they can't agree on a resolution, then the case goes to a grand jury.
And along the way, that first-degree murder charge could also change, Steffi says, to a lesser offense. But he doesn't believe the charge itself was excessive, even though first-degree murder implies a premeditated killing.
Premeditation and deliberate design can happen very quickly. The decision to kill a person can be formed very quickly and may occur only moments before the actual act of killing.
Supporters of Douglas have speculated the murder charge was more severe because Douglas is black and Milne was white. Steffi says there's no evidence thus far to suggest that happened in this case. CJ LeMaster, 3 on your side.
In a hearing December 29th, the court-appointed defense attorney for Douglas mentioned self-defense, and Judge Kent McDaniel also brought up the Castle Doctrine. Mississippi lawmakers passed the Castle Doctrine law in 2006. Steffi tells us the law is complicated and confusing, but he says the main thing to remember is that deadly force has to be defensive, and the person using deadly force has to reasonably fear death or great bodily harm.
Now, even though this young brother, Deshaun Douglas, went to the police before all of this, tried to file charges on him, tried to report him, even though this whole incident was on camera, how we saw him repeatedly breaking court order by going onto his property, threatening him, even though we saw him attack him on video, the news and media still found a quote-unquote legal expert that think that murder was the appropriate charge. Because he's trying to say that he premeditated it, even though he was the one being attacked, even though the other person was on his property, being attacked by a drunk dude who has made several threats to him in the past. But this quote-unquote legal expert said the murder charge was appropriate because premeditation or deliberate design, whatever that means, could happen very quickly. And notice, when it comes to you, they start coming up with these new phrases, because I haven't heard deliberate design when it comes to murder. Right? I heard premeditated. But how can you premeditate when somebody else is going to attack you? When somebody else is going to come on your property? When somebody else tries to put you in a headlock? How can he deliberately design that? But after a lot of protests, this brother was eventually given bail and released. And of course, in this case, the stand your ground, the Castle Doctrine couldn't have been more official, right? Because he had court orders telling this white boy to stay away. Because he has a video of him being attacked. Because he has the video of him trying to restrain himself and walk away. But when it comes to you, they will even say, I don't want to get put in a headlock. Let me do something to defend myself. Well, that's premeditation. But a white boy talking trash and then pulling out a gun in public, that's not premeditated. But that goes to show you where we are in the system. And until you have a system that can punish those who violate you, you are at risk. It used to be for fear of protecting their children, and it still may be that. But that's how we keep being in the same situation where we're telling each other not to start trouble. Keep your eyes down and hopefully you'll survive. Well, we're done with that. It's time for us to create self-autonomy. And anybody who violates you, you have the right to defend yourself. I don't care what nobody else tells you. Because believe me, they will defend themselves. And we have to realize we are all we got. And until we start defending each other the way that they do, until we get on that code, then we're subject to this kind of thing all the time. But the minute that you value your life, the minute that you love yourself and your family and your children and your neighborhood, your community, is the minute that all of that stuff stops. But until we know that we are all we got, then the same thing is going to happen over and over and over.
Say it again. Say that part again.
Come out.
Say it again. Say that other word again.
Come on, nigga.
Where you live? Hey, where you live? Where you live? You lucky you don't have a license plate. I'll follow you all the way where you go.
Nigga.
Yep. Say less.
You're a bitch ass punk.
Yep.
Yeah, I know you are.
Okay.
That's why you're here, because you love white people so much.
Right. Anything else?
You want to be white, don't you?
Anything else? Anything else?
Keep following.
What's your name?
Fuck you, nigga.
Look at the camera again. Say it again. Say it one more time to the camera. Talk about your power. Say it to the camera one more time. Say it one more time to the camera. Oh, the plot thickens. Bet. Say it again.
White power! Fuck you, nigga. Go back to Africa.
Yellow card. Yellow card. I know I'm paraplegic, bro. You can hurt me. Yellow card. You can hurt me, bro. Yellow card. They can hurt me. Get out of the car.
Disturbing footage of Ohio police officers ripping by his hair a paraplegic man out of his vehicle.
Somebody help!
Newly released by the Dayton Police Department, the edited body cam video captures Clifford Owensby repeatedly saying he's paraplegic.
I'm a paraplegic. I gave up. Stop! You're making it so much harder than what it has to be.
This difficult scene includes footage of two officers dragging Owensby across the asphalt to their cruiser. Dayton police initially pulled him over in a traffic stop. The department's edited footage shows the officers checking his window tint.
This window's at 20%.
And then questioning him about a toddler in the back seat.
How come the kid's not in the car seat?
Before asking him to exit his vehicle so a canine could sniff for drugs.
I can't step out the car, sir. I'm a paraplegic. I'm going to assist you. No, you're not. No, you're not. No, you're not. You're not going to touch me.
He appears to call a friend.
Can you come down the street to,
Owensby then requests the officer call his superior.
Can you call your white shirt, please? Here's the thing. I'm going to pull you out, and then I'll call a white shirt. Because you're getting out of the car. That's not an option. So you're getting out of this car. So you can cooperate and get out of the car, or I'll drag you out of the car.
8 seconds later, the officers begin pulling him out. Police saying in a statement they are gathering all relevant evidence necessary for a complete and thorough investigation. But the president of the local Fraternal Order of Police saying sometimes the arrest of non-compliant individuals is not pretty, but is a necessary part of law enforcement to maintain public safety.
Did these officers follow protocol for someone with a serious physical disability like this?
There's no training in the academy that teaches you to yank a suspect out of a car by the hair when all you're doing is investigating. There is no need to push this thing further and faster when we can de-escalate, slow it down, and then make decisions that are rational.
Owensby's attorney says they intend to file a civil lawsuit after Owensby recounted the ordeal on Sunday.
I have nightmares. It really makes no sense. I should not have to leave out of my house every day wondering if this is going to happen to me again.
Get in the dog! Get in the dog!
Yeah.
I know he ain't putting that dog on him. I know he ain't sticking that dog on him before that, baby.
Wow.
I know stick that dog on him. Can't do that. I know he can't do that. He stick the dog on him. God damn. Let the dog bite him.
I'm recording it.
That's like a dog. Lord have mercy.
Let's say.
You heard?
Oh my God! Are you serious? You let the dog bite him!
Just bite him.
Oh my God! You let him bite him! Girl, girl! Record that!
I am.
But look at him! They let him bite him all that time! Girl, that's why I hate these motherfuckers. They let that man bite that. He bit that dog like he didn't let him bite that dog. You put dogs on people. Yeah, he saw that. Everybody saw that. You let him bite him. Put that dog on him.
As the Delaware County community awaits a grand jury investigation, there are demands for more action to be taken in the wake of a young girl's shooting death. The chaos playing out after a high school football game in August. Officials are saying with near certainty the police gunfire was to blame. Thursday afternoon, I'm Sarah Bloomquist.
And I'm Brian Taft. The big story on Action News today is the angry calls for more of a response in Sharon Hill. The grieving family now waiting to see if justice will be delivered here. Action News reporter George Solis live outside Academy Park High School where all this happened late August. George, you've got the update.
That's right. Good afternoon, Brian and Sarah. Members of the Delaware County Black Caucus held a press conference today to do a couple of things, mainly express their frustration with the police department and called for those 3 Sharon Hill police officers involved to be fired. They also stressed the significance of this investigation as it moves toward a grand jury. Pennsylvania State Senator Anthony Williams joined other members of the Delaware County Black Caucus Thursday in an urgent plea to the community as the investigation into the shooting death of 8-year-old Fontability moves into crucial next steps. Mainly the convening of an investigative grand jury.
If the grand jury is going to operate in secrecy and privacy to do their work, that means everyone should keep their nose, hands, opinion, and pressure out of the DA's office and away from the grand jury.
Delaware County District Attorney Jack Stolzheimer announced the grand jury probe on the 1-month anniversary of when Fonta was shot outside Academy Park High School during a football game. The DA telling Action News early ballistic evidence concluded it's with near certainty that Sharon Hill police officers fired the fatal shots that killed Fonta and wounded others. The call for a grand jury would compel uncooperative witnesses to come forward and signals the possibility of criminal charges being filed.
We'll be able to tell the whole story of what happened that night.
According to investigators, it was a heated exchange of words that erupted into gunfire a block from the school that put 3 officers in the area on alert. Investigators said it was at that time a car turned in the direction of the officers, and that prompted them to unleash a barrage of bullets.
Both women were cut up on their bodies, one severely on her arm from flying glass.
Attorney Bruce Castor is representing the women in the car, as well as the Billity family. Castor said the family wants the officers involved fired and said an apology, while warranted, would mean little at this juncture.
It's too little, too late.
So what happens next? Well, things are expected to go quiet, so to speak, as the grand jury begins to work through its findings, and that's a process that could take weeks, if not months. Now, we did reach out to Sharon Hill Police today. Their police chief referred us to a statement they issued last week.
The Newburgh School District has been embroiled in controversy for weeks, and tonight is facing even more scrutiny. It comes after a district staffer showed up to work in blackface. KGW's Mike Benner has reaction from the district superintendent and parents.
Monday afternoon in Newburgh, as students stream out of Mabel Rush Elementary School, news about a staffer placed on administrative leave is just starting to spread. KGW has learned that employee showed up to work late last week in blackface.
Kind of like a blow. It was bad to know it was in the Newburgh School District and then to find out that it was my daughter's school. It was just, surprising.
District officials won't say why the staffer dressed in blackface, but the Newburgh Graphic reports that person wanted to resemble Rosa Parks while protesting the vaccine mandate.
Vile. That was vile. And I was shocked
in a way, but also not surprised in a way. Because look at where we are as a community. We're divided. We're angry. People are acting out in ways that they haven't before.
District parent Ty Hardin Moore blames the Newburgh School Board. This summer, Director Brian Shannon came up with a proposal directing the superintendent to get rid of all Black Lives Matter and Pride symbols in district facilities. The ban has since been altered to images that depict support or opposition relating to a political, quasi-political, or controversial topic, and the board is still discussing the matter.
I really believe that they have unleashed something in this community that we have to address. And the thing that they've unleashed in this community, in my opinion, is racism.
Just last week, we learned some Newburgh High School students participated in a Snapchat group chat called Slave Trade, where they joked about how much they'd pay for their black classmates in a slave auction. On Monday, Superintendent Dr. Joe Morlock addressed that and the recent blackface incident.
The students of color of Newburgh deserve so much more. This goes against everything I and the vast majority of NSD staff have, believe, and it is unfathomably offensive.
As we found out, all of this has some parents second-guessing their decision to send their kids to Newburgh schools.
It's just one thing after another, and for a parent, I think you question, sending your kid to school after a while. I mean, I do.
The district would not tell us if this employee involved in the blackface incident is on paid or unpaid leave, only that the Human Resources Department has launched an investigation that could result in a number of disciplinary actions, including termination.
A Zoom class unlike any other. Students say their Dickinson High School teacher gave them a profanity-laced lesson in hate. A discussion on climate change devolving into Howard Zlotkin airing his grievances.
If you think I'm privileged, then F you.
At one point, yelling at one student.
I'm privileged.
Tamia Williams, a 17-year-old senior, said the landscape and design teacher seemed to focus on black students, saying this about the killing of George Floyd.
I hear people whining and crying in Black Lives Matter, but George Floyd was criminal that was being arrested. Just picked 4 girls that, they were black too. And he told them, I want an essay from you guys.
But Tamia and her mother say they immediately contacted school officials and the Board of Ed.
Who does that? Who would curse? I don't even curse at my own daughter.
But the family says they heard nothing back until they contacted News 4. To their surprise, Zlotkin was back in class today and again cursing at students, telling Tamia about her refusal to do the essay.
You know what, Tamia, don't worry about it. You're full of too. It hurts. It bothers me.
She was crying. She came to me, she called me, and she tells me, Mom, why is it that there is a problem with my skin?
The district saying late today an investigation is underway and that Zlotkin was removed from teaching, explaining the school was in the process of taking statements from students today before proceeding with disciplinary actions. And then the second video surfaced. The teacher will not have access to students or the school as we proceed. We are appalled by the statements, profanity, disrespect, and treatment of students. We emailed Zlotkin and visited his listed address.
Hello, you've reached Howard.
Even left a message on his voicemail but did not receive a response.
I just hope he doesn't teach at all.
Evening, a Klein ISD teacher is off the job after his offensive comments were caught on camera. The district says he is no longer employed as of today.
But some wonder why this took so long. Jason Miles is outside the school with reaction from both sides. Jason, getting a lot of attention on social media.
Absolutely, Lynn. This incident was recorded using a smartphone. Though there's nothing to see because the phone was hidden, there is plenty to hear. Inside a Klein Collins High School theater arts class last week, race became the topic of discussion, although it's unclear what preceded it.
I mean, if there's a word that you're not supposed to say, why are you saying it?
I don't know. Why do the guys in my class go, say, man, crazy? Why do they say that? And why is it because I'm a white guy I can't say that? I can't say the N-word.
The white male teacher goes on to question why there isn't a White History Month, along with comments about other ethnic groups.
At this time, I can tell you this individual is no longer employed in Klein ISD, and we are still investigating this incident.
The district's announcement about the teacher's employment comes days after parents say they alerted the school about the video and wonder if that's the only reason the teacher is gone.
Your words
sir, were absolutely offensive.
Some of them joined activist Quarrel today outside the school, including those whose children were in the classroom.
It's ridiculous. It's hard to listen to without getting angry.
It's upsetting. It's just really upsetting.
They hope the ongoing investigation includes looking at this now former teacher's past.
Because if you got that kind of racist mindset about black people, Hispanics, and Indians, who knows what you did with your grade book?
In an email to families, the school said it regrets students were impacted by the teacher's language.
Take a look at this picture. You can see a sign that says white on top of a water fountain concerning families and students in Union County tonight. Somebody took a picture of that at Piedmont High School, and since then it's been circulating over Snapchat. Our Glenn Counts spoke to a former student and learned what action the school took.
Well, it goes without saying that this picture caused quite a stir on social media. It was an ugly reminder of a past that most people would prefer to forget. This is how Piedmont High School students found one of their water fountains.
I was really upset, especially knowing that I graduated there too a couple years ago.
This former student didn't want to be identified. Her younger brother still attends Piedmont and was upset by what he saw. Someone took a picture and shared it.
I can only imagine how many people saw it because all of these kids are so interconnected on social media, especially on Snapchat in that age group. So, I mean, everybody in the school, knows about what's going on.
We asked, but the district didn't know how far the picture spread. But the concern was high enough that the principal sent out a message to parents telling them he had investigated the matter. He said during a practice, a cheer sign was left outside the gym on the floor, and it was picked up and placed on a water fountain. We have investigated the matter and concluded that the placement was not intentional. While that may be true, it didn't stop the hurt that some kids felt.
I know that my brother has told me that they are getting calls from parents already that are angry about what's going on.
Well, the principal's letter goes on to say, if anyone was offended, we apologize. The explanation was not enough for some who have a hard time believing that this was not intentional.
We're going to turn now to the story of a former Tesla elevator operator who's speaking out after the automaker was forced to pay him $137 million because he was repeatedly subjected to racist abuse at the company. Rebecca Jarvis has the story.
We just want to be treated and seen as equal human beings.
This morning, a former Tesla contract worker speaking out after a San Francisco federal court decided the electric car maker must pay him $137 million over claims he suffered racist abuse at the company. Owen Diaz, who was hired through a staffing agency in 2015 as an elevator operator at Tesla's factory in Fremont, told the court he faced a hostile work environment where employees drew swastikas and racist graffiti on bathroom stalls, where coworkers told him to go back to Africa, and ethnic slurs were heard routinely. Diaz says nothing was done to stop it, quitting after roughly 1 year on the job and ultimately suing.
They decided not to follow through. They decided to kill investigations. You can't keep treating workers like this.
Now, Tesla, whose founder and CEO is Elon Musk, ordered to pay Diaz $130 million in punitive damages and $7 million in emotional distress, an unprecedented amount for racial discrimination cases.
A lot of people are living paycheck to paycheck. They have to either choose to take the abuse that these billion-dollar companies are putting out or feed their families.
In an internal email to employees Monday following the verdict posted on the company's website, Tesla's VP of People writing, although the facts they have of the case don't justify the verdict reached by the jury in San Francisco, we do recognize that in 2015 and 2016, we were not perfect. We're still not perfect, but we have come a long way from 5 years ago.
Hopefully it will make them change and make other companies change and realize racist conduct has no place in the workplace.
This is not the first time Tesla is facing claims of a hostile and racist work environment from its employees. The company is still facing pending litigation surrounding a class action civil rights lawsuit brought in 2017. Tesla has denied those claims.
Huh? Is there popcorn on my face? What is that?
a girl's gotta protect her hair. Does every black girl wear one of those? Is that hair hard to comb? What about brushing? Does it have to be washed every day? The hair or the bond? Both. I mean, I don't know every black girl, but I guess my cousin Kiki has a... Can I touch it? Wow, it's way softer than I thought it would be. Really? I want to touch it. Get off me! Whoa, sure thing, Carm. Beep, beep, beep. Good night. Figure out her hair. What do you think, Karma? Ooh, this one. Next level. How about accessories? Those are having a moment. Wait, can you put bows in it? Or wear headbands? Or clips? Can you do your hair like normal hair? You mean, can black people do their hair like yours? Well, yeah. Hey, help me pick out shoes? What about boots? Maybe sandals? Look at those dope sneakers.
Check this out, Warthog. He's going to come up the steps. Here he comes. Oh my goodness, and he's huge. Hello, boy. I wonder if we can pet him. Hi, boy.
Can we touch him? No, don't.
Help me! Help!
All right, and we back on the forecast. And I want to say RP to the brother Barry Washington. And luckily, the brother Deshaun Douglas is here to tell his story. But we have got to realize we are at war. We are in a state of emergency. And we should have declared this state of emergency almost 600 years ago. We cannot fraternize with the enemy. We can't pretend like we don't know who the enemy is. We can't give pass after pass after pass. And we cannot be afraid to defend ourselves because we see what happens in two different situations, right? Because they will give each other the benefit of the doubt. But because we have no protection, of course your enemy will never give you the benefit of the doubt. And you can't have that until you build your own. But that takes us working together and having enough love for ourselves to not let anybody violate our boundaries, to make sure anybody faces consequences when they do violate our boundaries, and stop coming at each other instead of the enemy. It's important how we respond to them doing something to us. It's important how we respond to each other, but it's definitely important how we respond to them, because nobody can violate you unless you allow them. And once they see that fear is gone and you are willing to do what you have to do by any means necessary, people will start thinking twice because they know it's consequences coming. They know they can't just run up on you without something happening. But until we get to that point, we are going to have a hard time. But we have to set aside our tribal differences and get on code and do what we have to do. Now, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And as always, man, we have got to start standing for something, or we're going to keep falling for anything.